The Indian Prime Minister. Here we will discuss powers and positions of Indian Prime Minister. The Indian Constitution provides a unique position to the Prime Minister, and it holds a very strong position in the according to the Indian Constitution, and he is legally recognized by the Constitution. So let's start. His appointment will be discussed primarily that the Constitution provides that the Prime Minister is to be appointed by the President, but it is expected of the President to appoint only that person, that the Prime Minister who is the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. So it is necessary because ultimately the Prime Minister and the team of ministers are politically responsible to the Lok Sabha. So now coming towards his powers and positions, he is the leader of the cabinet. The Prime Minister enjoys vast powers in the constitutional setup of the country, and although all executive authority of the Union is vested in the President, but yet it is invariably exercised by the Council of Ministers, and the President is supposed to be a mere constitutional head. So, Prime Minister is the real head of the Council of Ministers, and he can wield as much authority as he likes. Prime Minister who chooses the ministers, allot them portfolios, and involve them in the policy making process. And ministers can afford to displease the prime ministers. No minister can afford to displease the prime minister. If any minister differs from his policies, so he must resign, as the prime minister will must prevail as long as he is the leader of the majority in the parliament. So, prime minister's position is here is very important and pivotal. He is central to the life and death of the whole council of ministers. His resignation brings about the fall of the entire cabinet, so we can say that he is the keystone of the cabinet. So, leader of the cabinet and keystone of the cabinet. Next comes a link between cabinet and the president. Uh, the Prime Minister is the main link between the President and the Cabinet. He is a who to inform the President about the decisions of the Lok Sabha, and the chief advisor to the President as well. So the Constitution says that the President will appoint the Prime Minister and to advise him in the discharge of the its executive powers. Next is Prime Minister as the leader of the House. Prime Minister inside the Parliament, the Prime Minister is the chief spokesman of the government and leader of the House. It is therefore he who shapes the domestic and foreign policies of the countries and responsible for any of the policy matters. So his duty comes dual, and to rescue every minister, and he might be find it hard to for the Lok Sabha to result of the takes from the opposition members. So he safeguard them and also pursues and influences the other matters. So prime ministers represents the nation in relation with other states in the world. So his position becomes very important in the case of domestic as well as on the case of foreign policy matters. Next comes is a keystone of the cabinet. The prime minister is the central to the life and central to the death of of his cabinet. So it is around his personality that cabinet is formed, and it is on account of his resignation that the cabinet falls and the ministers are supposed to have resigned. So the position of the prime minister also depends on the person holding this high office. Even his own cabinet or party colleagues may overshadow by a strong president or a weaker personality. But the fact is remained that the prime minister is the de facto political head of the state. We can say that it is the prime minister who appoints the other cabinet ministers, and the Constitution of India has legally provided for the office of the prime minister. So he selects ministers as told. He is source of communication between president and his ministers, and he presides the cabinet meetings, and he guides the ministers and supervises their works, and he is the chief spokesman of the government. So these are the functions and powers of the Indian prime minister. Thank you.